You're watching WHPS, Highland Park, Detroit.
FM 88.1 WHPR, Highland Park.
WVIE 107.3 FM Charlotte, Amalia, Virgin Islands.
The views and opinions expressed on the following show are not necessarily the views and opinions of WHPS, its affiliates, management, or sponsors.
It's that time, y'all. Black coffee, no sugar, no cream. Yeah, it's straight talk with Valerie. Come on. Black coffee, no sugar, no cream. Yeah, it's straight talk with Valerie. Come on. It's straight talk with Valerie. It's straight talk with Valerie. Come on. Black coffee, no sugar, no cream. It's straight talk with Valerie. Come on. Black coffee, no sugar, no cream. It's straight talk with Valerie. Come on. Black coffee, no sugar, no cream.
Hello, 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 Detroit. I hope you like that new intro. We have a new season of Black Coffee, No Sugar, No Cream going on. And so, again, last week we celebrated, and I'm just astonished and overwhelmed by the support that I've been receiving for this last year. I cannot thank Trisha Duckworth enough for being by my side, helping to produce the show and being behind the scenes. But guess what, folks? She's from behind the scenes again tonight. So she is in the studio with us. And I also have Mr. Action Terrell.
Hey.
And Action is our sidekick. You know, I almost need to call Action a co-host because anytime I need action,
I'm there.
let me rephrase that. Anytime there's action, there's action.
Look at you playing on words. That's what I'm talking about. That's exactly what I'm talking about.
So listen, speaking of the new segment, when we get down right to the issues that plague the Black community and that are very disturbing to the Black community, I've decided to call that segment Feel the Fro. So we have an intro that we're going to use for Feel the Fro, and then we're going to get right into it. So let's go, Marquise.
Feel the fro. I am not trying to spill the tea or make you feel dazed like you drank a shot of cheap liquor. I just want you to see the world from a different point of view. Mine.
We've had a lot of things happen. Let me start with this one thing, though. Before we get into the segment, I want to talk a little bit about Jesse Jackson saying that Barack Obama didn't do anything for Black America. I don't know what the hell he talking about. First of all, Jesse Jackson didn't do anything for Black America, number one. I feel like he's an opportunist. I feel like he's a media whore. I don't know if I can say that on the air. If not, that's a blooper. But, you know, anytime there's something that is newsworthy or noteworthy, then he jumps in front of a camera and run that out his mouth. You know, he was the one caught behind the scenes saying something about President Obama when he wasn't the president at the time. But, you know, but then he's on the front row crying tears when he gets elected. Sit yourself down somewhere. I'm tired of you. You did well in your time, I guess, because I don't remember much notable about anything that you've done that really stuck in my mind, since I've been around.
Keep hope alive.
Well, I'm just saying, everybody is on Barack Obama's back. First of all, look at here. He was the president for America, not just Black America. And we have plenty of opportunities to change things and do things on our own. If we stop looking for handouts all the time, you're supposed to make things easier. I don't know what the hell going on. All I know is that rubbed me the wrong way when I saw that post saying that Barack Obama didn't do anything. You haven't done anything but went out and made a baby on your wife.
Right.
So what's up with that? That's your best accomplishment with your old self. You made another baby. So now
round of applause.
Now
round
go
of applause.
sit down. Sit yourself down.
Okay. Hold on, though. We got to give Jesse a little credit. Because even though he might not be using the tactics that we think are appropriate to use, he still is trying to do empowerment as he knows how. So I'll give
For
him,
example,
back when he was doing something. For real, back years ago, he did used to be pounding the pavement. He used to be grinding out there with everybody else. But now, fast forward, like right here, right now, no. And he was just here with Bernie Sanders. And I didn't understand that, like why Bernie was like using him as a way to do anything as far as in the Black community is concerned. But then I seen a post come up that Bernie had endorsed him during his run for president. So he was actually returning the favor and endorsing Bernie now.
Well, I can't say, let me say this. I don't know of anything, and maybe I missed the point, missed the mark, but I can't think of anything that Jesse Jackson did that made my life better or easier living on this earth as a Black woman. I can't think of anything.
Well, he was out there back with Martin Luther King and all of them. He was
But
out there
with
during
Martin
that time.
Luther King, so that was support. So for you to say a president of the United States didn't do anything, I feel like you're trying to dim his life. You're a hater. Barack Obama, for a lot of people to say he hasn't done nothing, damn, we done spent 4 years trying to undo everything, then that's a long ass time to be undoing nothing.
If he haven't done anything, why are all these candidates running to get his support? Biden, Sanders, they asked him to do commercials with them and everything else, because he must have did something to the Black people, for the Black people. Is he got elected twice.
I agree.
They elected him because he was Black. That's why. It wasn't necessarily because he did anything, because I've been one to say he ain't did nothing really for the African. You've heard me say that before. He has not done anything specifically for the African American community. He did something for the LGBT community. He has done stuff for other communities, but wasn't anything directly for the African American community. We kind of just slid in on the coattail of some other stuff that he was doing. Like the candidate that I support is Bernie Sanders, and it is because of the things that he's talking about that he wants to do initially for the African American community, because there are so many things that we need as a people that really, to be honest, I don't see really many candidates that speak about an agenda towards African Americans. It's more so, give me a vote, and that's pretty much it. And that's
But
not
I agree with you, but that's how we vote. The majority of the Black people is by name recognition.
Popularity.
And it doesn't matter, what anyone has done. But when I look at presidents as a whole, again, I might sound a little outlandish, but I've had to bust my behind for everything I ever had. I don't care who the president was. Clinton, Obama. I don't care.
Reagan.
I don't care. I don't care. I had to work hard for everything that I got. And I wasn't looking for a handout or anything like that anyway. But still, I can't say my life was so much easier because of anything that I can remember. I am not diminishing the work that was done within the civil rights movement that did shift the paradigm a little bit, and I'm sure made things easier for me today. But I'm saying since I have been an adult, I can't say that about Jesse Jackson. I can't say like, oh, well, he really pushed, he show up on the scene, you know, when it's a media moment, I see him. But, you know, I just feel like the NAACP, NAN, National Action Network, and all of those other things, your time is up.
Yeah, 'cause especially NAACP.
Yeah, your time is up. Kick
What
rocks.
you just at the dinner?
Kick rocks
Yeah,
with Kid Rock.
Wasn't you just at the last chicken dinner?
No.
Oh, okay.
Not the,
My bad.
not
But
the
here's the
NAACP.
thing.
I never supported them.
You know, and there's some people who I'm sure who are within the organizations working, so I don't want my friends calling me who are part of that, you know, whatever. But I'm just saying at a national level, we have some very high profile things that are happening in the black community to black people, and you are silent.
Yeah.
Right.
You are a disgrace to the legacy that this whole thing was built on from day one because you do nothing about it. And it pisses me off. And I'm opening the phone lines. So
Who else
Say
is
the
pissed
call.
off
yeah,
you?
who else is pissed off with me? So we're doing something new this season, and we're opening the phone lines. So call in with your question or comment at 313-365-7379. Again, 313-365-7379. And we would like to hear your question or comment as we move on now to the Nathaniel Woods execution. So Marquise, roll that clip for me.
Now we turn to the controversy surrounding the execution of Nathaniel Woods. Woods was convicted in the shooting death of 3 police officers and injuring a 4th back in 2004 while they were executing a warrant. But Woods never actually shot at the officers. It was a man named Kerry Spencer who was with him when police arrived. That's what he said. Spencer even confessed to being the sole gunman who killed the officers. Ultimately, Woods was convicted on 4 capital murder charges. He tried appealing his conviction and argued that he had been given inadequate representation. His appeal was denied by both the Alabama Supreme Court and the Supreme Court of the United States. High-profile individuals from the son of Martin Luther King Jr. to director Ava DuVernay to Kim Kardashian West all tweeted against Woods' execution, but the governor of Alabama released a statement doubling down, saying, "This is not a decision that I take lightly, but I firmly believe in the rule of law and that justice must be served." Joining me now to discuss the complexities of this case as well as the role that the Supreme Court played is criminal law professor Eko Yanka. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So we see convictions and appeals turned down all the time. What makes this case particularly unique?
I think this case was difficult for everybody because there's no question on anybody's mind, the prosecutor or the defense, that Woods was not the person who shot these police officers. There's testimony that he didn't do it. There's confessions, as you pointed out, by the actual shooter that he was not the one to do it. But on top of that, the case was just riven with really problematic evidence. 2 of the witnesses recanted and said they were pressured by the prosecution to do it. There were even rumors of police corruption, that the police were not there just to serve a warrant, but that they were part of unlawful and corrupt bribery. So there was so much doubt in this case that many people thought the finality of the death sentence just had to be forestalled so we could get to the bottom of it.
And I'm really kind of scratching my head. I mean, initially the Supreme Court had decided to stay the execution, then reverse that right away. Why, and how unusual is something like this?
It was very strange. The Supreme Court gave a stay that ended up being for little more than 4 hours. To be sure, the court's stay was on a very technical issue. Woods was not told that Woods was given a choice between two different ways of dying, essentially, two different chemical protocols, one of which the state of Alabama doesn't yet have a full protocol. So had he chosen that one, the state would have had to wait. It would have bought him more time to have his case appealed. So this is part of the overall question of how he was failed at every point by his counsel. It really was the fact that he didn't choose a protocol is why he's no longer here.
But why did they then reverse?
I think on that technical issue, the case was never going to be reversed. Indeed, the more substantive stay that asked the court to look at the substantive issues of lack of effective counsel as well as conflicts of evidence was never reviewed by the court.
And is this really unprecedented, or is this something that the Supreme Court does kind of waffle?
Well, there's a larger fight in which this is embedded, that where the Supreme Court, members of the Supreme Court, what we might think of as the conservative members of the Supreme Court, are more interested in staying the court's hand, in having fewer, it's a complex set of words, fewer stays, fewer injunctions, fewer interferences with lower courts. Right. And so we see this as part of a larger trend of fights. So I'm not surprised that on this technical issue, the court was not going to reverse his, or was not going to stay his execution.
Nathaniel Woods' family released a statement saying the fight is far from over. Nathaniel is an innocent man, and that will always be the truth. We are not giving up. What else can be done at this point?
Well, you know, it is a stunning case because, of course, he's now, not only are 3 police officers dead, but Nathaniel Woods is no longer with us. But what is really true is that even if his life is over, his story is not over. There are just countless organizations and countless families who fight every year in order to have their loved one's full story come out, in order to be able to proclaim to the world that this person who is executed by the state is ultimately innocent. And we see that sometimes spanning over decades. I think on top of that, of course, their family surely cares that Nathaniel Woods' life was not in the...
So I heard enough of that BS.
Man.
But I wanted to set the tone, because this is what I didn't appreciate. The Supreme Court justices issued a stay. That family was rejoicing.
For 4 hours.
For 4 hours to turn around for him to be killed anyway.
Can you imagine having an inkling of hope?
Yeah, that trauma for the family, though. You know, it's just like, wow, I got this day. You sitting there saying, hey, first of all, that man sound like a fool up there talking about, well, because he didn't choose the way that he wanted to die, that's why he's dead. If he said he was innocent, he was not the shooter. None of they had evidence.
They had people speaking up. You even had the shooter, and he's still alive.
Exactly.
Even the family of some of the officers stepped up and said, hey, we don't believe this man did this. Now, you know that's deep. If your loved one died, you're going to turn around and advocate for someone who is said to have killed them?
Yeah, because the real killer is still running around. The real killer is still running around.
They got him.
They got him. He's
well, still alive.
Right,
still alive.
Right, he's still alive.
Still alive. So, I mean...
Yeah, he's still
alive.
He's still
scurrying around the cell block.
He's still on their yard.
Yeah, he's still meandering.
So that's what this is why I'm confused at. Why did Nathaniel get the death penalty and he not?
And he was not the shooter.
And the shooter even said that he shot all 3. Wow.
Well, I tell you what. It seems like some law enforcement and some judges and other people that are part of the judicial system doesn't regard anyone else as human beings other than themselves.
Yeah.
Right.
I believe they looked at him no different than a roach. Like, if he died, they'll still multiply. You know, we'll have more. Wow. They don't even look at that as being a human being. And when I sat there, because how much hope that I had, like, yes, he got to stay. Exactly. This is cool, you know, or whatever, to turn around and say he's dead. I'm like, what the hell?
I went to bed. I read the story. I said, okay. Matter of fact, Trisha had sent me some information. You know, it was a post going around, do a survey or what it was to try to help him. I put in for it. 4 hours, they said, okay, the stay went through. I went to go to bed. I wake up the next morning, and Daryl called me and said, they killed that guy. I'm like, no, they gave him a stay. I'm thinking he wrong. I argued him up and down for like 30 minutes.
Well, one thing that is some verbiage that's in the law, and it says that stands about cruel and unusual punishment should be disallowed. That was cruel and unusual punishment.
Yes.
That was cruel and unusual punishment.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because there's no way in the world that should have went down the way that it did. And I just don't understand. What the heck was that Governor Kay Ivey? Did you get I didn't get a chance to call down there today, Trisha. Did you call?
Yeah, I left a message the other day when I called, and then another one today. They have a phone line taking messages. So it's okay. So since you don't want to answer our calls, then I'm searching for the email address. So tomorrow I'm going to post the email address, and then we'll email you. So either way it go, we're going to inconvenience you until we can understand why this has happened. Now, trust me when I say we know why it happened.
Oh, yeah, we know.
Oh, yeah.
We know exactly why it happened, because there are other cases in this same state with individuals from other ethnic backgrounds that have received the stay permanently and have been removed off death row, have been released on clemency and all of these other type of things. So it definitely could have happened. We know why it didn't happen. So it's not like the question that we're asking is very rhetorical. We know the answer to it. But what we want is accountability. We want someone to really understand that this is not supposed to happen. And the thing is this for me. Let's talk about reasonable doubt. In a trial, if there's any reasonable doubt, there's no guilty. That's it. Not guilty. Why is it that we can have all of this reasonable doubt, not just in this trial, in so many others here in a country like America, and still wind up killing somebody? That's a problem for me. When you see reasonable doubt, but you still gonna go ahead and execute this.
Not just reasonable doubt. You had witnesses testifying, including the shooter, including other witnesses that seen the guy at certain places at certain times, and you still allowed him to be killed.
Well, you know what? Like I said, that is, I agree 110% with the reasonable doubt, but I still say that is a form of cruel and unusual punishment.
Unjust.
Right there. And I just don't, I remember my grandmother saying to me, well, Big Mama, saying to me a lot of times, recanting stories. And I remember some of them, visiting the South with her. I remember some of the things. But I never thought I would live and see these things. I thought that was a part of the past. But that's lynching.
Yeah.
That
Basically,
was a lynch.
That is. It's a form of lynch.
Yeah.
Because what they did was uncalled for, unjustified. It's a story about a young man and his family getting hung for a murder they didn't commit. In 1860, this family was called the Perry family. A man named William Harrison, which was a white man, went missing. They found some of his artifacts of clothing on the side of the road. They automatically assumed it was his servant that killed him. So they interrogated the servant, the mother, and the brother. And the servant, after being interrogated for so long, just confessed to the murder. 3 years later, it was found that William Harrison just went out of town and came back.
What?
Yeah. And that created what they called the corpus delicti rule.
And that rule is what?
That rule states that beyond a reasonable doubt, you're supposed to do your investigation, but they don't. It's called the corpus delicti rule. 3 years later, the guy came back and said he was just out of town. So they killed these black family for nothing.
Because there's no regard for black lives.
At all.
At all. And not just from the racial injustice point of view, but within this new generation, not even for each other.
Man.
They'll kill you in a heartbeat.
For nothing.
But for us to stay on task. The phone lines are open. So Black Coffee, No Sugar, No Cream is now opening the phone lines this season. You can give us a call at 313-365-7379 and let us know how you feel about this bull. I would love to hear from you, but I think it's crazy. So let's jump into the Mississippi State Prison. Let's roll this clip, Marquise.
I just got at the faucet. This is all the drinking water that I just got here at the faucet, and this is what it looked like. This is what we're going through. This is the #1 cause of counsel in Mississippi Department of Correction. Hey, yo, what's poppin', man? You already know, man. Scheme for Mills YouTube channel, man. Make sure y'all like, subscribe, hit that notification bell for the kid. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, man. I know y'all looking at this, just uploaded, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is what be going on in prisons, no matter where you from. New York, Miami, Mississippi, you understand what I'm saying? This is what be going on in prisons, and I'm saying the water be bad. They be killing you through mad different means while you in prison. They'll kill you through the water, through the food. You understand what I'm saying? They got bad food, you know what I'm saying? A bad grade, you know what I'm saying? Like, people don't understand, like, prisons have, you know what I'm saying, the worst form of food. You know what I'm saying? They get the lowest grade of food there is known to man to feed the inmates. You know what I'm saying? The water is always dirty and nasty or itching your skin and things of that nature. You know what I'm saying? Man, y'all got to reach out, man. Everybody got to show some support to Mississippi, man, because that's foul, man. How they water is the color of pee. Their water is the color of pee, and nobody's going to do nothing about it. Like, for real, they're going to continue to live in those conditions. You know what I'm saying? You see the dude showing you a metal, that's safety and security of the facility, bro. That metal thing that y'all seen, that could body, that could murder somebody. You know what I'm saying? They got a whole metal pan or whatever that was right there. You know what I'm saying? That's safety and security of the facility. You know what I'm saying? But them authorities don't care. You know what I'm saying? They got them people living under harsh conditions like that. And I be trying to tell y'all, man, these people is the devil, man. These people have you in the prisons, man. Y'all be thinking that shit is a game, man. That's the type of treatment that y'all subjected to. You know what I'm saying? So stop thinking this is a joke, man. I think everybody need to go support them you know what I mean, them convicts that's in Mississippi. You know what I'm saying? Like, real talk. Everybody need to reach out to that Mississippi State Prison, man, and you know what I mean, show some form of support, man, because that's wicked right there. They water is the color of pee, son. You know what I'm saying? And you know who run them jails at the end of the day? White people. White people run them jails. White people know that's going on. Them security officials know that's going on. You know what I'm saying? Like, these people is wicked, man. And I be trying to tell y'all that, man. Y'all niggas don't be listening, man. On the guys, on the gang, on the men, whatever you want to say, man. And I'm saying on the homies, on the bloods, man. Like, real talk, bro. These people is wicked, man. For all the kids, man, don't go to prison, man. Y'all see what they drinking. You see how they drinking water is. They drinking water is the color of pee. So let that be a deterrent for everybody who think that they gangsters or gangbangers. You see, you can't even get drinking water in prison. Clear drinking water, bro. Wake up, man. On the gang.
Before I get to the real serious nature of the reason why I put this clip on, what the hell he doing with a cell phone in prison? And he talking about water. The water is a safety and security threat of the facility. And he got a whole, or his homie, or wherever he got the video from, he got a whole cell phone in there.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
Dun 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 dun.
I wanna clarify the corpus delicti rule. 1 second. I just had it. It's basically stating that a person cannot. It's called corpus delicti evidence. Corpus delicti evidence is a term referring to the principle that a crime must be proved to have occurred before a person can be convicted of committing that crime.
Wow. Thank you for that clarification. So let's go to the Mississippi State Prison. They've been rioting. You know, we've heard a lot of news coverage about deplorable conditions. And one thing that doesn't even really have to be investigated and proven is lead-based paint.
Wow.
We can just, off GP, go with that. General
Right.
principle, lead-based paint. You know, but it's peeling, it's cracking, the things are deplorable. He says the water looks like pee and all of that. I believe him. Now, I've never been inside of a cell, but when I was working with the Michigan Prisoner Reentry Project, I was inside, you know, walking through the yard to get to my classroom.
Right.
And when I would integrate with the inmates, they would tell me, you know, like, man, this is messed up. And they would complain about certain things. I've had relatives who've been in there and they say how it is. So I believe what they're saying is true, which takes us to the state of Michigan. Let's look at that. So inmate Edward Walton wrote a complaint saying that there were deplorable conditions in the prison where he was.
He gets put in a hole.
No, not first.
Okay.
So he wrote that a complaint,
Right.
whatever that process is, with 2 other inmates. Well, he wrote an email through the JPay to some family members after that saying, if this doesn't change, we're going to protest.
Right.
That, they said, was inciting a riot
Right.
and put him in
Solitary
confinement.
Yep. I read the story.
And an administrative law judge agreed and
I
sanctioned.
signed it. Yep. Side with him.
Knowing they said they found no merit in his claim.
13th Amendment says what? Action?
I'll look it up. I don't know if
13th
it's
Amendment basically says that if you're a prisoner, you're a slave. So no rights apply to you as a prisoner. You do not have freedom of speech. You do not have the right to bear arms. Well, we see you got the right to bear a cell phone. You do not.
But you know,
You don't have a right to protest. We have a right to protest. That's what.
Not really, because you know.
you still can get stopped and
You can
arrested
get
and
stopped.
everything.
Okay, so I done been a part of some protests. We done shut some streets down, downtown Ann Arbor. Never went to jail. I done had Abdul Hakim. Some might know him as Roberto Guzman. He did a protest outside the Frank Murphy Hall of Injustice, right? And nothing ever happened. So, yeah, sometimes something can happen, but it's based on how you protest, whether you go to jail or not. Now, you like Rashid Tlaib and them, they sitting out in the middle of the street, you blocking the street off. Okay, something like that. But we have a right to protest and say something that we don't like. In prison, you don't. Now, my thing is, I had a friend that's in the same prison, and he also received a ticket during that same time about inciting a riot. So they were slapping those tickets on anybody who said anything about injustice and what was going on
In the prison.
in that prison. So it's not like they were at that time, fighting or, trying to do anything to the guards or anything like that. They was just saying, look, this needs to change or else we're going to protest. You know what I'm saying? So what was it that was so wrong about that? They just fighting for their rights as prisoners because these jails is horrible. So, and nobody else is looking at it. What other recourse do they have?
One thing we have to do is we have to bring up 1948. They passed the Declaration of Human Rights. We, as a people, need to get rid of the civil rights and start voting, start, protesting for our human rights. They had in 1998, they had a 50th anniversary of this, and it was never brought to the United States whatsoever. We need to do our research on the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which was passed in 1948.
Well, I just don't understand why we are still like the whole lynching thing. They wanted to consider that as a crime, and then 3 people decided, like, nah,
Right.
This is going to still be.
Right.
This is not a hate crime, you know.
Because they know the KKK is still out here doing it, and that's one of the most protected groups in the United States.
True. We got some young soldiers, though, that'll deal with it. You know, I've never seen the KKK on 7 Mile by my house.
You won't. You won't. If they do, they hiding. They hiding. They not coming
No,
out.
let me say this a different way. They've been over there, but not in full garb.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Not in full garb.
Right.
So, because I was driving down Telegraph, and I took a videotape of that. It was a whole float. And it had "Honk If You Love Trump" on it. It was a whole float.
man.
And they had the Statue of Liberty on there and all of this stuff, driving down Telegraph, southbound. And so I laughed, and I was like, man, just make a left on 7 Mile. I want to see something. Like, turn left down this street. I want to see something.
They're not coming that way.
And they blew that light and kept it moving. Like, I'm blowing all of these lights till I get to Dearborn.
Should have said Trump supporters down there.
Wrong way. Go this way.
They did not turn.
Yeah, they won't.
I don't know what we will ever be able to do about racism in America. But I do feel that holding our political officials accountable, like those 3 people who decided that lynching was not a hate crime, they shouldn't even be in office
should be
anymore.
out of there.
They should be out. But who's going to vote them out? Not us.
Nobody.
We don't even say nothing about the things that we should be
The
saying.
things that
something
matter.
about, right?
We-
The things
we
that
don't-
matter.
we don't vote
But
for
you see how many
Congress.
people went and voted to have weed legalized? You know, stuff like that.
Well, you voted for the weed. Now
You know
it's
what I'm
time to vote for the need.
That was my campaign slogan. I was saying it all over town. And I'm going to say it to Bernie, who I support. Hey, when they vote for the weed, vote for the need.
Oh,
Right.
gosh.
But I just don't understand it. And the other bill that was that New York, where they had to write that bill to say that natural hair discrimination was unlawful and that you can wear your natural hair. I have to Google
I think
that.
it was California, I believe. Let me
I
see.
am just
Let's see.
like, what's going
got it,
on
Trisha?
in
I'm
America?
looking.
Right. Well,
Crazy.
it's been going on in America. It's just now we have social media that can bring it to the forefront and touch a lot more people than what it used to.
Well, I tell you what, I saw today where a filmmaker, Michael Moore, which I respect, I love his documentaries and how he brings light to injustices and other things in America. But he lost a lot of cool points with me today saying that white people are really dangerous and we should be scared of them. Who?
Yeah, I
It was
read
like,
that.
what? I got a little Nat Turner and a little Harriet Tubman in me.
Yeah.
I'm not scared of them. You know, apparently they're scared of us. That's why
Right.
they garb up and do all of these other underhanded,
Exactly.
backhanded things. And that's why they won't go down 7 Mile or Carlisle. I mean, if it go, just go to Inkster with your float, with your costume.
Yeah, they've been doing everything like you said, secret handling, Halloween like. That's why they got Halloween so they can hide behind masks and do things.
Yeah, because it's our doctor, our dentist, our plumber. It's the
Everyone.
people
It's
that work on
horrible.
us every
Every day.
day.
The preacher.
Every day.
So look,
That-
check this out. So California and New York were the first states to enact the law. That was this summer, in the summer of 2019. And then New Jersey, Michigan, Wisconsin, Illinois, Kentucky, as well as Cincinnati, Ohio, and Montgomery County, Maryland, all follow with proposed legislation.
Oh, no, Alabama?
Not
They
yet.
ain't doing nothing for us in Alabama.
We know.
You know they don't care about our life. They dang sure don't care about our
your
hair.
hair. Right.
You know, and it should have been so many of us in front of Kay Ivory's office in Alabama.
Yes.
Too many to arrest.
Do you know that, I hate to say this, but a pastor, this individual that I went to school with, I didn't even know he was a pastor. Well, he's a pastor, and he's a pastor in Alabama. Not going to say his name just in case somebody he know listening. However, I was just mortified that he didn't say anything
Wow.
about this. Not one post.
To his congregation or nothing, huh?
Not one post. And I'm so sorry. Let me go to the church website. Nothing.
Well, see, the church has
they
failed us a
control,
lot of
though.
ways.
The church is controlled.
Because
They are, but I tell you what, they can say they control all they want, but I know one person, Reverend Dr. John E. Duckworth, okay? And he is not controlled. He preaches about all this stuff, wrongful convictions, rape and molestation, all type of social injustices. He's going to always sound the alarm. So they have the ability to be able to do it if they want to.
But here's the thing. See, the church, the dynamic of the church has changed and morphed into something that's unrecognizable to
Business.
my mother. My mother won't step a foot in a church up here because she went to church in Sylacauga, Alabama, and it wasn't nothing but a lady banging on the piano and the tambourine and dust flying on a Sunday, hot as hell, with no air conditioning. I remember. But do you know how many civil rights meetings were had at that church? Do you know how people came together at that church? It was a cemetery, is a cemetery behind that church where some of our family members are buried and everything. Martin Luther King was in the forefront, but it was people behind him meeting at the church, coming together.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, in this very room, I can look at the dynamics because Trishea tell you, I'm not marching. I'm not a marcher.
Right.
She is. You know, she's
Oh,
an
yeah.
organizer and a marcher. I'm strategic. Like, okay, well, while you out there marching, then we're going to do this.
Right.
You know, I'll say where we're going to strategically strike, write up the law or whatever it is that I need to be doing. You know what I'm
Right,
saying? And
right.
you with your shared experiences. We don't even come together on that accord. The church was the glue of the black community. And for us to have increased 100% the number of churches, I just feel like it should be a moratorium. Too many churches doing not enough.
Not enough.
We have too many.
You know,
And I'm going to open the phone line up again. Somebody might want to challenge me. So you could call in at 313-365-7379 if you don't feel I'm right. But I feel like it's too many churches within a small
you got more
amount.
churches. You got more churches than you got McDonald's now. So it's
They're
all
everywhere,
business.
but we
It's
still have
business.
homeless people on the street. We can't get, and then they would say everybody should come together. Y'all should come together. Why we need a church on every block? The pastor's not even coming together.
Because if
Come
you're not
together
the
for what?
leader, then you don't want to be a follower. And that's, to me, all of these churches is more about ego than anything, because you don't want to follow somebody, so you'll go and you'll start your own. But the thing is, let me go back to this about protesting, because I will protest. Well, not as much as I used to there in my young ages, because I done got a little, arthritis done kicked in a little bit. However, when the protests and things like that and were happening back then, they meant something, and they shut down.
Right.
I'm talking about when they protest the bus lines and started driving each other. Man, that crippled the bus company.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? So those protests are needed, but they just have to be done in the proper manner. You know what I mean? So it's like, I feel like there's power in them if they were being done the right way. But I also feel like sometimes people don't really understand the intent and why they're protesting, and it loses its value. And it just becomes to be about a bunch of people ranting and raving about what they don't like. And it's so much deeper than that.
Well, see, there's no action behind it. There is no
Before or
plan
after.
before it and no action behind it. And that's what the problem is. That's why I'm not going out there getting wet in the rain and all of that to go back home. Just like we say, we have $1 trillion of buying power. And we can't do one decent blackout. If they say don't buy gas tomorrow, well, hell, I'm going to fill up tonight. You know, or whatever.
Exactly.
That's not what that means.
or even, and on that right there, it enrages me, because our dollar is so powerful.
But we don't circulate it in our community.
Well, I'm going to tell you about that too.
That's kind of hard too.
Because in our community, we need to make sure that the dollar can be spent in our community, right? Like, say for instance, there's another good pastor that I know there, and he has a suit shop on a very disenfranchised part of town, of a place that I won't say because everybody will know who it is. Why you selling gators and crocodile shoes and Ferragamo suits in a low income neighborhood?
Because of materialism, and they know we're going to come and buy, feeding off of that psyche, and we're going to come and buy.
I understand that, but see, I guess for me, this just for me, I am so tired of people saying shop black, shop black, shop black, which I will. But if this can of rice is cheaper at Walmart, I'm finna go to Walmart. Why I'm gonna pay $5 for a bag of rice that I can get for $1.50 at Walmart? So that's a whole nother show, though.
It is because.
But you got to also look at this too, though. Now it's probably $5, but what you spending in gas to get there and back?
Well, it's hard to compete with a Walmart. A Walmart has.
Right. I mean, it's hard to
$1
compete with
billion
those industry.
to invest.
I'm just saying we have to make things reasonable enough, because it's not that people. I don't think that all people don't want to shop black. It's just that I feel sometimes people, especially like myself, I'm shopping with what's cheap. I don't have money like that, so I can't go out and pay a higher price just to support my people like I really want to. I got to go and buy the tissue at the cheapest price that I can get it at. You know what I'm saying?
Well, let me ask you this: do you think it's them putting their prices that way, or do you think it's because when say for instance she has a store in the black community, and I'm a producer of rice, and I sell it to her for $4. What does she do? She has to at least save it for $5 so she can. So we have to get to that person.
Some instances, but then there are some instances where some jokers is just marking stuff up. And it's not because and I done seen that for it is myself, where you getting it at this cheap price line, but then you turn around, you selling a shoe and you getting it for $2 from China, and then you turn around and sell it to me for $80, $65.
But the whole point is they'll be out of business if we didn't buy it, and people will continue to buy those things. Right. Okay, so let's go back on this. So two things. One thing I wanted to say to my family in Illinois: don't pull your damn cell phone out filming the police, because it's illegal now. Wow. They made it a felony for you to record the police in Illinois without their permission. And when the hell they gonna get a permission?
They never gonna get a permission.
They not. So all of my nieces and nephews and my brothers and sisters and family and even listeners in Illinois, do your homework. You cannot pull your cell phone out and film in Illinois anymore. It is not a high-level misdemeanor. It is a felony. So do not pull your phone out filming the police. And I was thinking about, like, well, how would they know? It might be somebody up in their bedroom window filming and not on the street. But if you turn in that footage, then they know that you filmed. And how can they? It should be a Good Samaritan law then. Like, okay, but if I'm a Good Samaritan and I see a police officer or someone like that, abuse of power, then a Good Samaritan should be able to show that. So that's interesting.
So are they still, do they wear body cams?
I didn't read that. I don't know if every officer does.
So we need to make sure that they body cams work. If they're going to stop us one way, we need to stop them.
Well, that's the whole thing. If the body cam is not on, that should be automatic 90
automatic
days.
Termination.
No,
you can terminate.
Let me tell you something. Hey, everything can be altered. They can make stuff appear as if their body cam was on and it wasn't even on.
Oh, exactly.
Or they can take the footage from their body cam. Look what they did with Sandra Bland. They had body cams in that instance too. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But it was still look like stuff was altered. Like, I just feel like, they don't want to be watched. And that's it. I was court watching on this case, and I've been following it since November, December. First day there. Which I probably shouldn't have went in. I asked the prosecutor a question. You know what I'm saying? And
got the Jody on.
Then from that point on, they want to know who is that? Who is that? They don't want to watch. And as a matter of fact, called the family like, look, I don't want to be watched, and I want to know the name of everybody who you had down here with you. And so she was like, I'm not giving them your name. I said, well, I don't care, because I'll step to her and told her my name.
But that's ridiculous to even request that. If the courtroom is open, if you want to court watch. And that's what it is. That intimidation right there should have helped. And we need more court watchers to go in and be present. We need that. I got another one. They handcuffing our babies, though. Show the footage for me, Marquise.
The 11-year-old. I don't even know if we got time to go for that one.
I know.
Now, amid a growing backlash, the Florida school resource officer who arrested two 6-year-olds at their Orlando school has been fired. Officer Dennis Turner was terminated yesterday. Battery charges against the children have also been dropped. Manuel Bojorquez reports from the police headquarters in Orlando.
On behalf of myself and the entire Orlando Police Department, I apologize to the children involved and their families.
Orlando Police Chief Orlando Rolone says he had no choice but to fire Reserve Officer Dennis Turner after Turner arrested two 6-year-olds at their school last Thursday.
We cannot fathom the idea of a 6-year-old being put in the back of a police car.
Turner arrested Kaya Roll after she allegedly kicked a staff member during a tantrum. Roll's grandmother said the outburst was likely a result of the child's sleep apnea.
It was really and truly an injustice on her.
Turner also arrested an unidentified student in a separate incident and sent both children to a juvenile detention center.
The criminal process ends here.
Florida State Attorney Aramis Ayala said her office would not prosecute the 6-year-olds.
I refuse to knowingly play any role in the school-to-prison pipeline at any age.
So what about that? That's the first time I ever heard of the police officer losing their job.
Now, why is that? Now you just tell me why that is. See, they want to make an example out the black officers, but look at all the white officers that was arresting young black children.
Slamming them to the ground. I've seen some footage where one officer went in the classroom and snatched that chair out from under that kid and slammed that kid to the ground like it was a dodgeball or something.
I was reading on Facebook one day last year what prompted me to do my first Facebook Live post in which a white cop.
Your first one? Your very first?
My very first one. This was last year, though. A guy walked up to the young boy, 10-year-old, and said he was a suspect in a murder. The 10-year-old kid going to school, white guy, arrested him, put him up against the wall, put him in handcuffs.
But I go deeper with that because, yes, it's reprehensible that that police officer actually handcuffed a 6-year-old, but what the hell was the principal and the other administration doing at that time? That's more idiotic. How did you skip over the principal and everybody else at the school to get straight to the police officer arresting this kid?
Who called him? Somebody had to call him.
Exactly. Even because I can't imagine a school resource officer being in an elementary school. Though, I can't imagine the kids would be that off the chain that they would have a school resource officer in the school. So how do we bypass the principal, any other counselor, any other adults to call the police and do that? But I do have a caveat. Because I pray that the Lord is always with me when I'm around little kids or whatever, that I would never want to do anything to harm anyone's kid. But some of these kids bad, and they might just come up and just kick you or whatever. What keep you from that reactionary back end? And what do you do with an out-of-control
a
kid?
trauma-filled child? And if you don't know as a teacher how to deal with a trauma-filled child, then maybe you are in the wrong profession. Because at the end of the day, some of our black and brown children have been exposed to so much trauma that when they come to school, unfortunately, that's where it comes out at.
That's their release.
So do we like that? No, we do not. However, at the end of the day, all of this to me says that they are trying to slide that school to prison pipeline to younger and younger and younger and younger youth. And you want to say in 6 years old?
Right.
That's kindergarten. So 3rd grade was when they was predicting, right, that a kid was going to go.
Right. Yeah, because from kindergarten to 3rd grade, you learn to read. And then from 3rd grade and beyond, you read to learn. And that's where that whole sense of if the kids are not at grade level by 3rd grade, we will retain them, which I agree with, because you're setting them up for failure. If you let them go beyond 3rd grade, and then they're going to fail. However, that's where more of the trauma and the behavior problems and everything occur, because that kid is frustrated. And people say, oh, well, my child can talk to me about anything. What do you want them to say? They're 9. 7, 6. What are they supposed to say?
How can they say it?
They don't know what to say.
They don't know the verbiage.
They don't know the verbiage.
Yeah.
So you got to dig a little bit deeper and help them find it. So, man, this was just power pack. I didn't get to a couple of the other things that we wanted to discuss on this first field. It is over.
Man, wait a minute. We gotta vow for more time. We need 2 hours. We need to do something. RJ, we got to get more time.
It is over.
It's over now.
Man, that was quick.
7:54. So thank you everyone that tuned in. 2020 is going to be a great year for Black Coffee, No Sugar, No Cream.
Please call in.
We are opening the phone lines on the show, so you will be able to call in, give your question or comment, and get hung up on if you're out of pocket.
And she does mean that.
Disclaimer.
Also, look forward to mixers. We'll be popping up places.
On location,
and
filming.
going on location. So I'm very, very excited about what's going on. And again, here we go. This has not changed. You have been listening to Black Coffee, No Sugar, No Cream, where I'm not trying to spill the tea or make you feel dazed like you had a shot of cheap liquor. I just want you to see the world from a different point of view. Mine. And we're out of here. See you next week.